So here we go. Big day for Tanya learners. Chapter 36, Perek Lamed Vav in Tanya. This is as I mentioned before, a very famous chapter. It's a core idea that literally the whole Chabad on what the Chabad house, phenomenon is based on. But it all comes really from, how many years ago? 200 plus years ago when the Alter Rebbe wrote this chapter. Okay. As I mentioned, Tanya doesn't tell you how it's grouped necessarily, but really many times groups of chapters are units. And I said this unit, a few chapters, really began in last chapter, 35. 35 was the long-awaited response to Alan's repeated civil protest against our putting down the animal soul, which we said the animal soul is, it's selfish. All it thinks about is self, because that's all it knows is it has one core idea: I exist, and therefore it bases everything with all its sophistication around that. And we said the godly soul has one core idea: that God exists, and everything else is just, nothing in reality compared to God. So you got this split personality, right? Like in Batman, you have a Two-Face, right? You got this guy, the schizophrenia. You got, on one hand, you have the animal soul that thinks I am the most important in existence. And then you have the godly soul. It's like, no, only God exists. And we kept on saying essentially that, obviously we exist, but the true existence is the God, is the energy behind it. And our job, the Beinani, the hero of the Tanya's job, which is really all our job, we all aspire to be Beinanis, is to, be a godly soul instrument. Don't be an animal soul instrument, that you're just a sophisticated monkey that tries to get all types of goodies for yourself, emotional, physical, etc. But try to be a godly soul instrument, the body be a godly soul, that you're going to be a giver, a partner with God for goodness and kindness and holiness. And that was essentially the way, and we gave different techniques, we explained it, but that was essentially till chapter 35, the base of Tanya. Let your body and your life daily be an instrument every moment for the godly soul. And don't, be too much into the animal soul's hedonism. Okay, yes, you had a question.
But does the animal soul have to be all bad?
Oh,
let's say you take good care of your body.
Right, yeah, okay. So on the basic level, it's a matter of just focus. Like, you got to take care of your body, but you just don't focus on the body and the needs. Like, you do what you got to do, but it's not the focus. It's not your aspiration. The Beinani's trying to make aspiration the godly soul. And like all that temptation and self-medicating of with all types of goodies, don't get too much into that.
If you take care of your body well, are you accessing the godly soul?
So I'm going to answer. This is what Alan was, his civil disobedience was about this. Was a joke. It was that, how could you hate on the animal? How could Tanya be so dismissive and hating on the animal soul? Like, the animal soul's got a purpose, right? And I kept on putting him off because the truth is he's correct. But the Alter Rebbe, for the first 34 chapters, the author of the book, is trying to make a very clear binary. Like, this is what gets you to God, animal soul focus, and this is what conceals on various degrees animal soul focus. We're trying to make a binary. However, the truth be told, and now in chapter 35, he addresses it very clean, very straight language, that if you're telling me that you basically have this virus, this like a pest called the animal soul that's always trying to get you to lose focus of purpose, of godly soul purpose, It's not fair. Why does the Beinoni have to suffer with this like pest called the animal soul that's trying to always get the focus towards it? So he said, now we're going to start the series. We started already in chapter 35, the series of why the animal soul is very important. It's actually not just a pest. It's not just a test, a pest and a test. It's very important to deal with it. And it's important to work with it and to utilize it. We say the animal soul, we mean the human survival instinct and pleasure-seeking software in the body. Okay,
physical being,
the physical, the bodyliness, and the software in your brain that wants to perpetuate the body,
right,
and the pleasure of the body. Okay, that's what I mean.
Rabbi, we said a couple of days ago that there's good to it.
So I'm recapping for our new listeners. So answer 1 was in chapter 35. You know why your animal soul is not just an obnoxious pest, but it's actually an asset? Because we quoted from the Zohar that you got to have the Shekhinah on you, the divine presence. And divine presence, the metaphor is like a light, it's like a flame. The body is the holder, it's a wick. And what binds the wick to a flame? Oil. Once the oil dries up, the flame goes away. So you want the Shekhinah, the divine light on your body, on the wick, on the body. What do you got to do? You got to have oil. What's oil in the metaphor? Good deeds. Good deeds. Mitzvahs is essentially converter of physicality to binder to the spiritual, to the flame. That's it. So good deeds and the more good deeds, you manifest more flame. You have less good deeds, less. You get morally bankrupt, it becomes almost you can't see the person's divine presence. Okay. Absolutely. God forbid. Yeah. Okay. But that was in chapter 35. So it turns out, we said when you do a physical mitzvah with the physical body, right, you're actually bringing the Shekhinah onto the body. So now we like the animal soul because it's an instrument to bring the Shekhinah in a physical connection to you, in a more tangible way to you. So now we change from our, so to speak, dismissing the animal soul for 34 chapters, and 35 we're like, hey, it's actually it's a good bonding agent to bring, because the animal soul animates the physical body. The physical body can do physical mitzvahs. Physical mitzvahs is the oil that binds the light of the Shekhinah onto the body. So now, animal soul. But now in that's all a prelude. Chapter 36, this watershed chapter of Tanya, is going to tell us that it's more than just you get to have the Shekhinah. The animal soul, and by extension, the physical world, because it's all the same idea. They're all agents that are going through the filter, your animal soul / your body / the whole physical universe. How are they created? Well, from God. But we say they're created through a filter called klipa, called concealment. It's a concealer. Like makeup, it's a concealer. What's the concealer? It comes from God, but it comes through a filter that conceals God. So it's very, on one hand, it comes from God, but then God makes it come to this filter that literally makes this image, this untrue image, that it's separate from God, that it exists on its own. And that's the reality of the physical world. So we're going to move away from the animal soul, because the animal soul will be your agent to access the purpose of creation. So let's move away from why is the animal soul so good. Let's go to what's the purpose of creation. And then we'll talk about how the animal soul helps towards the purpose of creation. So page 86. It is a well-known statement. Our rabbis declare that the purpose for which this world was created is that the Holy One, blessed be He, God, desired to have an abode in the lower realms. This is a quote from the Midrash, in Midrash Tanchuma, Naso, chapter 16. And as a matter of fact, I was reading in the Steinsaltz Tanya that one time someone asked the author of this book, Rabbi Shneur Zalman, the Alter Rebbe, and he asked him, what is the purpose of creation? And by the way, he's not the first one to ask this question. This question is asked for thousands of years in Jewish sources, in all sources, many other sources. But I'm sure the Greeks pondered it also, on their level. But it's asked in Jewish sources. They asked him. And there's different opinions. There's different logics of what would God create a world? Like, what do you gain here? A world with strife and, a mixed bag at best. So he gave the answer, he quoted this midrash, that the ultimate answer is God desire. You have to hear the words, because every word is a whole like thesis. God created the world, this physical world, because he desired, keyword desired, an abode, a dwelling place, like a summer home or something, in the lower realms. So you got three words you got to key that are key here. Desired, abode, a dwelling, in the lowest realm. So, and he said,
It seems a little unflattering.
Wait, this is exactly this chapter is going to talk about.
I think it's
So
just but go ahead.
Why did God desire the whole creation? When we say creation, for the record, we don't just mean the physical world and the creatures in the physical. We mean the whole reality, including spiritual reality, because originally there was no other reality. There was no angels pre-God deciding to do creation. Even angels are some type of reality, spiritual. It's not physical like a rock, but it's still there's some type of, it's like mathematics. It's not physical, but it's a reality. These ideas are reality, right? So they have existence without having physical implementation.
Can you say he created it?
Till God created any type of reality, mathematics, angels, all that, there was nothing other than God, because God is the original or the true existence, in the words of the Maimonides. Original and true existence. Okay. But at some day, when God was all by himself, he desired to have an abode, a dwelling, in the lowest realm, in lower realms. And to do that, God had to make a whole, when Kabbalah is really, a lot of what Kabbalah is about the mechanics or the metaphysics of reality, starting from there's one God, and that's the true, infinite, always existing reality. And then the universe, physical and spiritual reality, had a starting point. And even science now comes to the Big Bang, right? Whatever, and I don't know what that means exactly, but there's a starting point of some point. And that starting point was initiated by God, starting this whole reality, physical and spiritual, because he had a desire to have a dwelling place in the lowest realm. So
those lower realms.
Lowest.
Lowest is not.
Lowest. Yeah,
Ooh.
lowest. I'm going to go lower.
That's what they say about the world.
Okay.
But it's okay.
So now, so this is a little bit of a crash course. That what does it mean? Surely before God, the distinction of higher and lower is not valid. One world, as I said, there's a whole scaffolding of reality in order to get to our physical world. God has said there's like a subtle, otherness, but it's not a physical. It's like, for example, when God wants to get from all overness of God, all exist, infinite everywhereness, God could have done it like, with a magic wand and oh, poof, here's a teapot, and here's a world.
No, he couldn't have done it that way.
He could have done anything he wanted.
No, you're making God into what you think God is.
God could be
God
anything
be
he
God.
wants.
You're not letting God. That's exactly what he says when he says, yeah, I share yeah. And that's what it means.
What does that have to do with what I'm saying?
I will be what I will be. And you were making God into what you want him to be.
I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying any different.
I think there's a subtle
I'm actually saying I have no clue. God, the way I see reality and the way even the great Kabbalist reality, it didn't have to be this way. God could have done anything he wanted.
No,
He's so
God,
unlimited.
God, and you can't even say that.
But we can say that whatever we can say doesn't have to be, because God doesn't have to do anything. But we said God desired, and we see the way the world is created, and the great theologians see the way the world is created. The philosophers, they see that there's a scaffolding in the sense of that really originally, so God makes, let's say, a higher world. To give an example, we call the world of Atzilut. What's Atzilut? It means emanation. Imagine making a world that's a hologram. You see there's a beam of light from the projector, from the source, and it's beaming into existence a nice image, a hologram, right? So God could have made the world, or actually in the higher worlds, there's this, it's a subtler form of existence, but it exists, but it's subtler in the sense of what? Everything that exists in the higher worlds realizes how it's being emanated into existence by God. That's the higher worlds at various levels. I mean, they're more conscious of that. I don't just pretend to exist on my own. I come from something. That's a very logical thing to say. We just, in our world, there's a blinder on that logic. But it makes sense. If everything comes from God, at some point it's somewhere in this pipeline, it can realize it comes from God. And that's what we call the higher worlds, just to give a simpler. The higher worlds are worlds, let's say the worlds of angels. Say the angels say Haluka. What does it mean, these Haluka? They're very aware of their source, of the creator at some level. They don't get it fully. Even angels have limits. And that's why they say, Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. Like they're realizing it's holy, it's removed. We don't get it, but we realize that there's something that's making us, that's making reality. Right? That's what the angels are saying. They're saying Hallel. They're saying Kadosh, 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 which means like, we get something. We get that there's something beyond us that we're cognizant of. Okay? But bottom line is all that, just to sum it up, and there's so much more detail, higher worlds realize they come from God. They are cognizant of God being the creator, emanator, projecting them and everything into existence. Lower realms, we talk about, typically refer to our physical world. It is the one world in this whole pipeline of infrastructure of creation reality that Kabbalah talks about. It's the lowest in the sense that there's built-in blinders of our source. It's built in that you feel, a baby feels, I exist. Maybe I come from God. I feel I exist. Now, when the baby grows up and thinks about it, or realize that there must be something that I come from, but the initial state of cognizance is self-existence, or physical autonomous existence, both of the person and stuff around them. I see a table. It looks like it exists. I feel I exist. I see, the trees, the grass, it exists. Do you see the tree as being emanating existence by a hologram, a life force from God? No, you don't. Now, that is a very novel thing. That's a novel, it seems to us normal because we're born in this reality. Mm-hmm. But if you think about it, if everything is coming from God, then why is it so hard for people to be aware of that? Mm-hmm. Like, you could be aware of that, but it takes a lot of work, and it takes self-refinement. And most people don't get the memo. Many people don't think about that on a day-to-day basis. They're thinking about, how could I get, delicious coffee, chocolate cake, and get money to go on vacation, so I can enjoy myself. This default setting of just, I exist and I want to perpetuate it. Why don't we realize that we are a speck in the universe and we all come from God? We're not a speck. We're a drop. What we realize is so tiny compared to the truth that everything is being emanated into existence by God. That is why we're called a lower world. It's an inherent handicap in the physical world that it just feels it does not easily recognize its source. So to God,
you consider the upper world.
so the upper world is that it's a more upper means high means refined. It realizes the truth of God's source giving it existence. That's what it's as a higher refined awareness.
How can God have a source?
Now God is the source. God is the source. God is the original, never ending, never beginning, always was source of everything.
Yep. That's not what you said.
That's what I meant.
Do you view yourself as being in the lower realm?
Again, I don't think about. I'm so numb. I don't even think about it at all. It just is. But we're talking now philosophically. If you think about it, we are.
Well, you appreciate your role.
So
relative
no,
to
but
Hashem.
that's self. Yeah, but
That's the whole point.
that's self. That's already. If I'm appreciating myself, it's already self.
I see you appreciate your role relative to Hashem.
But that's even that self. Even if I'm appreciating my good, my saintliness, so to speak. It's still a self. It's still awareness. Even if it's good self. Self-esteem is also self. It doesn't mean lowly as in miserable, despicable. We're talking in the sense of in this metric.
I understand. I'm not talking about despicable.
So we'll get to we'll have to ask it later. We're talking in the macro. We'll get to the micro later. Anyways, so for God, there's no difference. He says the point. There's no difference for God, the higher worlds, the angelic worlds that realize their source, or our world that's blind to its source. There's no difference. He's more there than here. God's everywhere. There's no difference. So what does it mean when we say that? What does it mean that God desired to be in the lower realms? He's everywhere. It's lower or higher. He's everywhere, right? What does it mean lower? So lower, it's like as follows. That, as I said before, before the world was created, there was only He alone, one and unique, filling all the space in which He created the world. There's only God. There's no room for anything else. In His view, and then He desired to have a world. So He made what we call the tzimtzum, the contraction, made room for other reality, whatever that means, to even feel like other reality, even though it's the same reality, but it feels separate reality, whatever. It's not important for now. But the truth is, and Tanya is going to talk about this in book 2, which we did already few times, about the truth is the same now. Right now, it's still, in the words of the prophet, Ein od milvado. There's nothing else other than God. Right. Everything that you experience is God. Everything. So God's one now, just as before. The change post-creation was only to us, to the recipients of His life force and His light. That right now we can feel like we exist. Right before there was nothing to even feel it exists. There was nothing even to have a relationship with. There's nothing. And we receive our life force and flight, our light, how? Through very, very short, many garments that are concealing this reality, which reveal and conceal God's light. And this connects to what we said in the Torah portion a week or two ago. No man can see me and live. Moshe said, I want to see. Right, last week, Moshe said, I got a good Hashem's frigging the Jews. Let me ask to get, best revelation of God's essence. What does God say? No man can see me and live. And the rabbis interpret that not even man, but even any of the chayot. Chayot is another term for the highest level angels, and they're not even embodied. They're just spiritual force. Even they can't see God's essence and live. And this concealment that is inherent of reality is the subject of a term in Hasidus and Kabbalah called hishtalshalut, which is a slang word for a jargon, Kabbalah jargon word. Jargon.
Is that a good word to you?
It's a good word.
Okay.
What does jargon mean?
What does that mean?
Mike, what does jargon mean? It means like industry, like
a certain vocabulary, like
for a certain like industry or a certain discipline.
So it's not a negative word?
like Hasidus itself has all kinds of terms that the rest of the world doesn't understand.
Exactly.
The rest of the world would call those terms jargon.
Or doctors have medical jargon. that you don't speak normally, but they know because in their world they talk about these
Okay.
things,
They have
Go
their
on.
own language.
or lawyer jargon,
Lawyers have
Okay,
lawyer
go on.
jargon.
as relevant to our,
It's a positive word.
our little group. Yeah, it's not a bad word. It's just a word.
So if you say I have an indictment, that's typically
Right. So Kabbalah has its own Kabbalah, mysticism has its own jargon. So what's its own jargon? There's many things, but one of them is called Hishtalshalut. It's a term for Hishtalshalut means the chain-like descent of the worlds, creating lower and lower realities, more and more opaque realities from God's. Because more opaque means you can exist more. Because if there's God, you're sucked up into the oneness of God. Yeah, you can use this still. Let me read this.
The tone. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Page 81. So, okay, this is taking a long time, so we have to finish up. Sorry, the secrets of the universe have to be wrapped up in 2 more minutes. Anyways, we call every world as another garment. It's another filter that conceals the light of the life force that comes from God. So you have many worlds. You have really many, many worlds. Each one is another shade of gray, another shade of filter of the light of God's all existence. Now, and that culminates, the end of the bus line of this process is the creation of this physical material. He says, how do they translate here? Gross. They use it here. Gross just means very physical. Doesn't really mean bad.
Okay.
Material. That's a better word. This physical
Gross world.
gross in the sense of not like yicky. Gross as in material.
Yeah.
Like material. Like and
Like
actual.
weight. Yeah.
Actual. So it's interesting. In the Steinsaltz, he quotes from Tanya commentators. We don't mince words. Great scholars aren't flowery. So every word in the Tanya is extremely precise, and he took him 20 years to write this book.
Wow.
He went through a lot of revisions in order to get to this very clean language. Why does he say the physical, the material, and actual? Just say the physical world. So he's pointing out that this world, you could have something that's in the physical realm, but it's not tangible. Like mathematics is very real, I think, in the physical realm. It's the stuff of engineering of the physical world, right? Physics, but it doesn't have to be tangible. He's saying the final stage of the creative process, from the highest worlds to the angels to the whatever, it culminates in a physical, tangible, and physical, material, and tangible to the point that it's touchable. It's like it's so I think the point is that ideas can be very like they can be have autonomy, but you can see they're much more like metaphysical. Creation
intangible to go along with what you're just saying.
Right. Tangible is like the final stage of like duh, it's here. Like it's here. It's like it's so here by itself that it's tangible. Like it doesn't have any idea. It's just is. I think that's the point. It's like it so is. It's even like just like a rock, just like a rock, like a rock in the mud. You know. I think that's the point.
Mm-hmm.
So this world, again, physical, material, tangible, is the lowest in degree. In what way? Not low as in it's yucky and satanic and anything like that. It's the most concealed of God's light. That you see a rock, it just is. Where's the beam that's making it exist? Where's all its history? Not there, it just is. So it conceals its source, God. And no world compares with it, even the higher, not the highest, even the middle worlds, in that it's a doubled and redoubled darkness, in the sense that everything here looks so independent and totally screams, I exist. I don't know if there's no God. I just exist.
God forbid.
Okay. so much so that it is filled with, not only is it a concealment of God, it actually has another force that God creates that comes and says, hey, God didn't make this, I made this.
Oy.
Called klipa. Klipa is the concealment force that God creates. And you say, you know why you like steak and potatoes and money and a yacht? Because you just love it. You just do. Like it's just that's where we're just pleasure-seeking beings. And that's all we are. Right? And that comes from klipa. That sentiment of like we just like hedonism because we love hedonism. That like no reason, just like it is because it is, or as my uncle Steve from Long Island would say, it is what it is. It is what it is.
Cindy Lauper, girls just gotta have one.
Yeah, there you go. Right, there you go. Right. So all those sentiments, all those, how do you call that? Self-affirming, fun-loving boisterousness of the 80s, whatever you call it. All that sentiment really comes from klipa. It comes from God also, but God makes it come from this tool called klipa that says, you know what, you're not going to realize your source. You're going to get sucked into just it is what it is. And which actually can go beyond just fun. It can actually go oppose God.
Oy.
Saying I am and God doesn't exist. Not just like, God's somewhere playing golf in heaven. I'm your real daddy. The hedonistic source. That sentiment is a very low. It's a low sentiment of truth. It's low in the sense of it's the lowest arena of truth because it conceals it so well. It can even oppose the truth of existence.
Oy.
Okay, now that we talked about how low it is, let's talk about the purpose. The purpose of the jargon term hishtalshalut of the world's the chain-like descent infrastructure of reality, and of their descent from level to level is, now here's the key. This is the real bombshell that blew people away when Alter Rebbe wrote this. You would think, what's the purpose? You ask different religions, they'd say something spiritual. Heaven for some religions, nirvana for other religions. And because why? That seems so much more pure. Jonathan Sachs, who I get my remedial study from his works, the Gnostics.
Yeah. What about the Gnostics? I mean,
like the point of like this world bad, heaven good. That was like the way he dumbed it down.
I don't remember.
What are Gnostics? I know it. Gnostic. Yeah. It's like this world, it's just a yucky world. Just, you're a peasant, your duke is abusing you as a serf. In the world to come, it'll be good. In heaven, it'll be good. Because this world feels so, at best, indifferent to God. At worst, bad at times. Mm-hmm. And you would say it actually makes sense in a way. You can understand the human being saying, you know what, this is just like a test. This world's a test. It's a challenging where the bad guys have they're the powers and they're the political elite and stuff, and the good guys don't have so much power and whatever. But that's all in this physical world. But the spiritual world will be good. And that's what many religions are about. Let's just like get through this physical, the test or whatever, and we'll get to the spiritual. The Alter Rebbe says the exact opposite, based on Kabbalah. The purpose is actually the ultimate purpose. We believe in heaven. We believe in a world of truth that the soul can bask in after its journey in this world. But that's not the purpose. That the ultimate purpose is the physical world. How could that be? How could a world we just spent so much time talking about its concealment be the purpose of the world? The purpose of this whole enterprise that God started from the heavenly realms to the physical. It's all for this physical world. Why? Here's the logic. Even the spiritual higher worlds where there's more cognizance of God's reality, that is a descent from the light of God. It's spiritual. The angels, hallelujah. It's a descent. Is that pure oneness of God? No, there's something that is relating to God. So it's a level of put it like this. He gives an example that electrical wires, that when they overheat, they catch fire, the conduit, because they can only handle a certain amount of electricity. Right? If you put a 220, source into a 110, it's gonna short circuit or burn the thing, because everything, even spiritual reality, has parameters on purpose. Because once you take away the parameters, it can't exist. So any type of halukah, the angels or the souls in heaven are saying, it's not the real deal. It's we call a little glimmer. It's a glimmer. It's diffused little glimmer of God's truth and essence. That's like God told Moshe, no being can see me and live, because then you'd blow up.
Blow up.
You can't. In order to. So if you in heaven, in the heavenly realms, what you appreciate, what could be that's a drop in the bucket on purpose. Because if it's not a drop in the bucket, you'd get overwhelmed. You wouldn't be able to handle it. You wouldn't be able to be a receiver for too much. So everything, even the spiritual realms, are a diffusion of the essence of God. They're not the real deal. It's a glimmer.
That's why we have the burning bush, right?
Interesting. Could be, maybe.
Right?
I have to think about that.
Seeing him like in his form.
I have to think about that. That's a good point. We have to think about that.
Good job.
Anyways, so all those Gnostics and whatever, all those religions, heaven, like what? That's like a baby toy at best. It's a glimmer of God. It's not God. You're not gonna truly interact, because why? Because if you did interact with God, you'd blow up. You wouldn't be able to exist. Right? They talk about in a book of the author, some Russian, I don't know, drunk author, genius, sort of thing. A book about like where a character in a book one day meets his author. And like what happens to him? Like he just like I don't know, I can't exist anymore. Like the character has a certain screenplay, and then like, but I'm the author who made all this. Like what does the character do? Like he can't, like it confounds him, something like that. Anyways, so now heaven's not so amazing. It's at best it's a little baby. It's a little controlled experiment. You can get a little tiny glimpse of a hidden little glimpse of God, but nothing too much.
You look way past your 2 minutes.
I know.
Sure.
I thought the secrets of the universe is not easy to, Rather, the purpose of Hishtalshalut, the purpose of the whole enterprise of reality, is this lowest world. This is the purpose. The purpose is here. It's not to get away from it to get there. It's actually here. Why? What's the logic? For such was his will that he finds it pleasurable when the Sitra Achra is subjugated to holiness and the darkness of Klipa, meaning all concealment, bad that exists in this world, is transformed to holy light. So then the place of the darkness and Sitra Achra throughout this world, the Ein Sof light of God will shine forth with greater intensity and strength, and with superior quality of light and emergence that emerges from the darkness. That darkness can also become light. It will thus shine with greater intensity than its radiance in the higher worlds. Another point is that everything that exists in the whole enterprise of reality, the different levels, is nothing new. It's just different. Like it's a spin on the old. It's just another layer on God that creates another reality with that type of layer on God. So say there's 1,000 layers. There's just nothing's new. Everything's Hashem. And this is just, Hashem is infinite light. And this is just a piece of light. And this is a smaller piece of light, or a smaller, less luminescent light of God. It's nothing new. It's just repackaging, so to speak. So nothing's new. Everything is just but this world has something new. It doesn't exist in all of reality. That all the heavens don't have. And that's darkness. Darkness is something that only exists in this world. Total concealment on God. And why does God make darkness? So that you can be an agent of darkness to flip it around and use that and be an agent to make the darkness show that even the darkness is God is found
Right.
there. not just light, but even the darkness. God is found in darkness, which means darkness. You can reveal the truth that even darkness is really God. And that's what we do. That's essentially we're in a world of darkness. We grapple with so much darkness, or at least concealment, and we go along. And yet, with all those handicaps, we're still doing what God wants. So now you're showing that total blinders, handicap darkness, which should really be going away from God, with your free choice and grit, can choose God.
Well,
So
without
darkness,
you can't have light.
but even more, it's even more than that. It's that the darkness is something that is a truly novel thing, because light at various levels just various depictions and filters of God.
Mm-hmm.
But darkness seems to be the absence of God, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Which has two benefits. First of all, that's a really new thing, that you can make darkness, which should be opposing God, actually a tool for God. That's one. Number two, remember we said that the reason everything has to be hidden in the higher worlds is because you'd blow up. Anything that would see too much revelation would blow up. Here, there's no revelation. So what's left? You can access the essence of God, because you're basically blind.
Yeah.
Nothing's going to blow your mind. So the challenge is you can get swept away by the blindness, but because everything's so dark, God interacts freely here with us at the highest level via how? Through the mitzvahs. For this purpose, the Holy One, blessed be He, gave us the Torah, which is called the might and strength. It's the hazmat suit that we can go into God's oneness and not lose ourselves. We spoke about it. Whatever.
Hazardous material.
It's like when you go into a nuclear plant, you have to wear the special suit so you don't blow up.
I didn't know it had.
So, as the rabbis say, that God gives tzaddikim the strength to receive the reward in the world to come, so that their existence, what does it mean, the reward? You don't dissolve within the divine light that will reveal itself in the hereafter without any garment. As it's written in the prophets and Isaiah, your teacher will know when Mashiach comes, when the revelation, everything, including the darkness, all becomes a tool for God in a very open way. Your teacher will no longer hide from you, meaning hide also means shield. That he will no longer withhold your reins, but he will no longer conceal himself from you at the edge of the rope. Rope, kanaf means a robe.
Where are you reading?
I'm reading page 90. Your teacher will no longer hide. I mean, he'll no longer do a garment over you, or he'll no longer hide behind the wall, hide behind the garment, behind the Wizard of Oz. He's going to come at himself. Hashem's going to come himself. The essence of Hashem will be plainly available, and your eyes will behold your teacher, capital T teacher, God.
Amen.
It's also written, we see another famous line. Mashiach comes, they will see eye to eye. The human eye will see the divine eye. You're going to see the same way God sees, Steinsaltz give a good, Rabbi Steinsaltz give a good thing. Reality is a one-way mirror. From us, we get blocked. We see a mirror. We see a concealment. God on the other side can see right through. So we see block, and God's Mashiach comes, we're not going to get blocked. We're going to see God through the darkness, through the concealment, or in the concealment, the same way God sees in the concealment.
Wow.
And it's further written, the sun shall no longer be your light by day, for God will be your eternal light. In other words, that the sun represents, more like a tool of light, but not the essence of God's revelation. We're gonna have the essence of God's revelation. We don't need any tools. No more tools. No more pipeline. No more diffusion. Direct. These are just a sampling of the prophets, which are so poetic and talk about the Messianic era of being a time of revelation. This is the context. He's just showing you what it means. For thousands of years, we didn't understand exactly what it means. The Alter Rebbe explains, because you're going to see the darkness that we deal with, that we navigate, because God gave us a manual. On one hand, He gave us the gift of blindness. We don't get blow up because we don't see anything. We don't see that a mitzvah is causing cosmic amazingness. We don't see that. And we don't see, on the converse, how a sin makes cosmic badness. So we just walk on our merry way and we whistle as we walk, But Hashem gave us a manual. So now we have the arena where we can do whatever we want. We can do crazy stuff. We can do crazy revelation. We can do crazy connection to God. We can bond everything, the lowest thing in the world, a piece of leather, tefillin, to the essence of God. We just never, but we don't get to see it because that way we can exist. If we saw it, we wouldn't exist. We'd evaporate in the oneness of Halukkah. But we're doing this for a long time. And it is known in the Messianic era, especially the resurrection of the dead, which is a later era after Mashiach comes, the world reaches a perfection, and then death goes away, and even those that passed away come back. It is indeed the ultimate purpose and the fulfillment of the creation of this world. It is for this purpose the world was originally created. Garden of Eden was the plan A. Plan A was perfect Messianic world. Okay, it didn't work. Plan B, we have a physical messed up world. But we're going to get back to the Garden of Eden through our hard work, through the doing mitzvahs. And he quotes at the end, this time of receiving the reward is, some people think that the Messianic era is not the purpose of creation. But the reward.
What was that last one?
He says the time of receiving the reward is essentially in the 7th millennium, as stated in the Kutei of the Arizal, where the period until then constitutes the fulfillment of the world's purpose. So it's interesting that Mashiach is not just a reward, it's actually a consequence of all the work we do of transforming the darkness to light. And there'll be a time we'll get the reward, it'll be wonderful, but really it's, so you get to what we come today, and this is I'm sorry it went so long. So the Chumash is short today, I believe.
It's to be 5 minutes.
I know. It's a bargain for secretive reality.
Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem.
But it's very short Chumash. Chumash will be like 5 minutes. That's your upside. The bottom line is chapter 36 teaches us a couple of things. Paradigm shift. First of all, it all comes down to one line, or two. I'll give you two words. Dira bitachtonim. Dwelling in the lower realms. That's the secret. It's not about getting to heaven. It's not about getting to nirvana. All these things. It's about the whole reason we created us people, with all the struggles and all the hardship and all the temptation and all the messed upness of the world. We get new words here. We're a living dictionary here.
Sugar.
We're a living dictionary. The living Torah, the living dictionary, the living Webster Merriam. Okay. All this, and by the way, to the point the Talmud said, they asked, like, would it be better if man wasn't created? Like, yeah, it'd be better if we weren't created. Like, is it better if man, like, God didn't make reality? He says, yeah, it would be much, much easier. It would be less painful, right? Mm-hmm. But God wanted it, and God wanted all its pain. Ultimately, why? Because every day, and culminating with Mashiach, we live in the lower realms. And by doing the right thing, both ethically and spiritually, Torah mitzvahs, we live in blindness and darkness. And that's what lower means. It's an opaque, divine reality world. We don't see God. The upside is that now we can access the highest levels of God because we won't get burned by it. Because we're unaware. We're blissfully unaware. But by dealing with the darkness through the manual that God gave us, the mitzvahs and the ethics, we are ultimately changing the very fabric of reality. That not only is light like a telescope to see God, a way to see God, but even greater, darkness is a way to not just see God, but to actually interact with God's essence. Light is limited. It can only see certain spectrums because that's the way it's made. You can only see, right, what we see and cats see, whatever. All these, if you have a microscope, you can see further, or everything has a frequency and a spectrum which you can only see at a certain point. Darkness, there's nothing to see. There's only essence of God. And that's why this world is where it's at, because this is where you really can access the highest essence of God that's found in darkness, that slowly is actually re-networking or reprogramming darkness to not be so hostile, but to actually show it was really God all along.
Amen.
And that's what Mashiach is when the darkness or the physical becomes just as no longer does it conceal, but it becomes actually the best looking glass to see God, because that's the instrument that got you to the essence of God, not the light, the darkness.